This documentary examines the importance of the Land, Water Energy Nexus in the design and development of the Village Homes neighborhood in the city of Davis, California. Village Homes was designed in the early 1970s by progressive thinkers, people who wanted to provide living interactions with natural systems, where almost half of the land area would be dedicated to building a multi-layered landscape, dependent on rainwater to establish and sustain growth, understanding that the optimal capture of rainwater would be critical for sustainability, encouraging plant growth, enhancing soils, and recharging the groundwater basin. Adopting micro-catchment principles, the landscape is contoured using cross-slope swales and holding ponds to catch rainwater flowing from west to east and from south to north, optimizing the harvesting of rainwater and minimizing runoff from the system boundary while enhancing the water cycle. Populating the open spaces with evergreen and deciduous plants and trees, ornamentals and fruit trees, vineyards, and dedicated community vegetable garden areas. Creating an edible landscape to produce fruits, vegetables, and eggs, reducing the food loss from the conversion of agricultural land for urban development. The planning department with the city of Davis was not convinced about the proposed rainwater storm collection and discharge system. The construction permit was granted after the city assessed an $800 per lot bond to cover liability risks if the proposed micro-catchment system failed. The rainwater collection system worked so well that in the late 1970s, when there were heavy storms taxing the municipal storm discharge system, the city channeled excess storm water to flow towards the Village Homes landscape. Water scarcity conditions continue to prevail since 2011, having an impact on the Land, Water, and Energy Nexus. In 2015, the community drilled a groundwater 320 feet well to replace higher cost municipal water used for irrigating the landscape. Under water scarcity conditions, additional groundwater is used to supplement lower rainfall, increasing the water energy intensity of watering the landscape. Multiple efforts have been made to replace water-intensive lawn areas with xeriscape principles, improving irrigation practices in vegetable gardens, orchards, and vineyards. Nonetheless, the 15 horsepower pump drawing 150 gallons per minute is not sufficient to irrigate the whole landscape, and further power will be required to extract additional gallons per minute if the landscape is to be fully irrigated with well water, increasing the water energy intensity to water a very mature landscape. Buildings are embedded in the landscape with contour swales guiding the distribution of roads and construction sites to maintain gravity-driven rainwater flows. Building designs fit the landscape using solar passive building principles, capturing heat from the southern sun in the winter months, installing extra insulation to walls and ceilings, and creating transpiration roofs to limit the use of air conditioning. Allocating smaller lots encouraged smaller footprint dwellings that would demand less thermal and electric energy for heating and cooling. The small lot concept allowed for more land to not be under construction, thus making it available to develop a natural landscape, creating an essential value to living in the neighborhood where people would share and benefit from common landscaped areas, creating a value-added landscape premium for the community. The Village Homes experience has extended beyond the neighborhood boundary to influence city planning with progressive concepts, where nature is understood as an important element of designing urban human spaces. Multiple efforts have been developed at the city level to create nature preserve storm water retention ponds, green belts with walking and biking pathways, and containing city growth within a system boundary that limits impact on adjacent agricultural lands. The West Pond creates a buffer zone for habitat development, attracting amphibious, mammals, and aves to the landscape. Multiple other nature development projects have taken place within the greater northern Sacramento River Basin, expanding an understanding of the critical role that nature has in providing sustainability to human endeavors. People participate in community through board of directors, architectural reviews, and landscape committees, creating standards with respect and tolerance, and the willingness to understand each other and regard for the environment. The parks and vegetable gardens provide outdoor space to engage in nature, sharing time with humans and animals. I had a conversation with Ms. Judy Corbett, co-founder of Village Homes, to provide historical context to the effort made to design and develop a sustainable community in the early 1970s.
This project came up and realtors looked at it. They thought it was for a bunch of hippies. They would tell people, you don't want to live there, you want to live over there. So we were the same price as other areas of the city, and really people couldn't understand,
Right.
most people couldn't understand what we were doing. It was a little bit scary. So I think we did well just to sell out at a market price. And there was a slight recession at the time, and yet we did sell out the first unit within a year, 20 houses. So it was well that way. It was about, but it was just so new.
Yes.
And it was in our imaginations, but and the city council understood it.
They did.
They did. That's a whole story, which is right critical to our success. And head of the student body, president of the student body, and a few others who were in our college and graduate group who were really scared when we were learning what we were learning, and nobody else in the world seemed to understand this. And we got together with some people who were interested in politics or participating in the politics of the city. And we put together something called the Greater Davis Planning and Research Group, which really laid out what we are today, the emphasis on the bike paths and the urban limit line and the farmers market and the transportation, and put forward what we called the Greater Davis Plan. And our member, Bob Black, ran as a council member, and in the last 2 weeks, 2 other people affiliated with the university joined our plan and supported it. The 3 of them won. They understood what we were doing and us, and we broke all the rules. I mean, there wasn't a single department in this city other than the city manager and the city attorney who were supportive of it. And we were just going back to the city council week after week, overruling the planning department and the public works and parks.
And the fire department.
And the fire department, everybody. And so that's why it's kind of one of a kind. And I then realized that local government is going to be where decisions are made that we can make progress and better planning.
Like Judy said, change occurs at the local level, where stakeholders could agree that a whole system's perspective is needed to integrate nature within the living space, using the Land, Water, and Energy Nexus as a framework to advance community development efforts, starting with the design of the land terrain, creating passive energy benefits, facilitating gravity flows for rainwater distribution and collection systems to optimize water retention within the system boundary, recharging the groundwater basin, encouraging plant growth, providing roof and street shade, a viable carbon sink with lower footprint dwellings, using passive and active renewable solar energy systems. It requires a common understanding among people to promote nature-based codes and standards, where the common good benefits are priority to achieve desired outcomes without short-term monetary interests. Where the landscape premium of a village homes housing unit is reflected with higher real estate values among comparable houses, providing a longer-term investment strategy where a present value can be estimated to reflect the landscape premium's life cycle benefits. The landscape premium includes direct water energy benefits derived from the micro-catchment landscape design, capturing and retaining rainwater, landscaping with energy sufficiency principles, and limiting rainwater discharge, reducing the cost of building on-site municipal stormwater discharge systems. Other indirect energy benefits are achieved when less stormwater is discharged on municipal treatment facilities, decreasing electricity demand while lowering the community's water energy intensity. The community is aware of the impact groundwater pumping has on aquifer recharge. Between 2018 through 2020, an average of 7 million gallons per year were pumped, representing about 34% of the volume of precipitation that was recharged to the aquifer during those years. Increasing the use of groundwater to irrigate more landscaped areas will continue to diminish aquifer recharge, leading to lower water tables with energy implications. Village homes should continue to identify water energy intensive areas where to reduce landscape water use and account for groundwater demand. The landscape design is unique in its capacity to capture precipitation to recharge the aquifer. It provides a model where local stakeholders, including water and power utility companies, could create incentives to adopt micro-catchment urban housing principles, creating living spaces with edible landscapes recharging local aquifers.